I got a DM last Tuesday that I want to read to you because I think this person is describing your week. Jordan, I just spent 4 hours writing a proposal for a 2 workflow automation. 4 hours. I scoped it from scratch, Googled what other people charge, wrote custom SLA language I half understood, and sent it over feeling like I'd underbid. The client came back and asked for a 3rd workflow. I had to rescope the whole thing. Another 2 hours. I'm doing this for every single lead, and I'm losing money before the project even starts. I read that and yeah, I've been there. I spent my first 8 months writing bespoke proposals for every project. Every single one was a blank page. New scope doc, new pricing math, new SLA section copy-pasted from some contract template I found online. And every time the client asked for something outside the original scope, I had no language to point to. No boundary. Just a conversation where I either said yes and ate the margin, or said no and felt like I was being difficult. The fix is not getting faster at writing proposals. The fix is stopping. You need a menu. 3 tiers, 2 add-ons, 1 hard scope gate. Documented in a single page you can pull up on any sales call and price the project in minutes instead of hours. I call it an offer catalog. And once you have one, the proposal problem disappears. Because the proposal is the catalog. Here's what you'll have by the end of this episode. A 3-tier productized services menu, Starter, Pro, and Enterprise, with specific caps on workflows, channels, interactions, and support windows pulled from 9 real automation shops I studied this week. 2 standardized add-ons that absorb scope expansion without reopening your base pricing. A red and yellow scope gate that tells you in 60 seconds whether a lead fits a tier or needs a custom conversation. And the exact Notion offer catalog I use to price projects on the call, not after it. This is Headcount Zero. I'm Jordan, let's build it. So why does every project feel like starting from zero? Because it is. When you don't have a menu, every lead triggers the same cycle. Discovery call, custom scope, custom pricing, custom SLA language, custom proposal doc. You're doing product design on every deal. And the brutal part is that most of your projects actually look the same. You're building 1 to 3 workflows. You're connecting 1 to 3 channels. You're supporting the client for a few weeks after launch. The variation between projects is way smaller than the variation between your proposals. I pulled up my last 12 projects. 9 of them, 9, fit into 3 buckets. 1 workflow, single-channel builds with a short support window. Multi-workflow, multi-channel builds with a longer support window and some iteration. And then the big custom stuff. Multi-system orchestration, regulated data, 24/7 on-call. 3 buckets. But I'd written 12 completely different proposals. 12 different SLA sections. 12 different pricing justifications. That's not a sales process. That's a creative writing exercise. And I was charging for the automation, not for the proposal writing. So here's the structure. 3 tiers, 2 add-ons, 1 scope gate. I call it the 3-2-1 portfolio. And I'm going to walk through each piece using real boundary language from 9 automation shops I studied. Automagic Developer, Willway Media, Polaris AI Studio, Mr. Khan, TaskOps, Zaddix, Cognex, QNTX AI Ops, and Next Step Logic. Some of these are confirmed solo operators, others are small teams, but the patterns are remarkably consistent. Tier 1 is your starter. This is the entry point. 1 workflow, 1 channel, capped interactions, short support window. Automagic Developer does exactly this. Their starter automates 1 simple workflow with a 2-week support window. Willway Media caps their entry tier at 500 interactions per month and 2 knowledge-based sources. Polaris AI Studio limits starter to a single channel chatbot. Chat only, no email, no SMS. The key insight is what you're constraining. It's not just price. It's 4 things: workflows, channels, interactions, and support duration. Those 4 caps make the tier predictable for you and clear for the client. 1 workflow, 1 channel, 500 interactions a month, 2 weeks of post-launch break-fix support. That's it. If they need more, there's a tier for that. And the pricing? You publish it. Polaris charges $800 a month plus an $800 setup fee for starter. QNTX starts their AI assistant at $199. The range is wide, but the point is the same. The number is on the page before the call happens. Michael Zapersky at Consulting Success has been arguing this for years. Published pricing compresses sales cycles because the client self-qualifies before they ever talk to you. Tier 2 is Pro. This is where most of your revenue lives. Up to 3 workflows. Multi-channel. Pick 2 or 3 from chat, email, SMS, voice, web form. Higher interaction caps. And a longer support window. 4 weeks instead of 2, with a weekly iteration slot built in. Willway Media's Pro tier is a good model here. Up to 3 agents, unlimited interactions, make or N8N pipelines, 10+ knowledge-based sources, and 4-hour priority support. Automagic Developers Pro adds a dashboard and 4-week support at $12.99. Mr. Khan, who's a confirmed solo operator, runs a professional tier at $19.95 a month with 2 active tasks, 24-hour response time, and a private Slack channel. That concurrency limit is something I didn't appreciate until I was juggling 4 pro clients at once. Mr. Khan caps active tasks at 2 for professional. That sounds restrictive, but it's actually a margin protector. When you're solo, every task you're actively working on competes with every other task. If you don't cap concurrency, you end up context switching between 6 projects and delivering all of them slowly. 1 active task at starter, 2 at pro. That's not a limitation you're imposing on the client. It's a promise that their work gets focused attention. The SLA shift matters too. Starter gets 48-hour email support. Pro gets 4-hour priority response during business hours. That's not just a faster reply, it's a different support channel. Email at starter, Slack or Teams at pro. The channel upgrade is part of the value, and it's part of the boundary. Tier 3 is Enterprise, and this is where you stop publishing fixed prices. This tier exists for 2 reasons. First, to catch the complex work that genuinely needs custom scoping, multi-system orchestration, regulated data, custom API development. Second, to give you a place to send leads that don't fit your menu without turning them away. Zadex does this well. Their enterprise tier includes a full SLA with incident response windows, 99.5% uptime, defined maintenance windows, and specified support channels. But, and this is critical, they only promise uptime because they host the runtime. If you don't host the client's infrastructure end-to-end, do not promise uptime. Promise response time and restore time instead. That's a response restore SLO, not an uptime SLA. The distinction matters because an uptime promise you can't control is a liability, not a feature. Willway Media's top tier commits to 99.9% uptime with 1-hour 24/7 support. But again, they host everything. If you're building automations that run on the client's make account or the client's N8N instance, you don't control the runtime. You control your response. So your enterprise SLA says 1-hour response 24/7 via pager, not 99.9% uptime. Now, the 2 add-ons. These exist to absorb legitimate scope expansion without reopening your base tier. The pattern I see across almost every menu I studied is the same 2 things: an additional workflow and a support upgrade. Add-on 1, additional workflow. Clients on Pro with 3 workflows and they need a 4th? That's not a rescope. That's a line item. 1 additional workflow, fixed setup fee, plus a monthly hosting fee if you're running it. Zadex sells extra workflows, HADR, and region pinning as modular add-ons. You don't need all of those. You need 1. Plus 1 workflow, fixed price, clear delivery timeline, done. Add-on 2, priority response SLA upgrade. Clients on starter with 48-hour email support and they want faster response? Don't move them to Pro. Sell them the SLA upgrade. 4-hour business hours response for a monthly fee. Or 1-hour 24/7 if they need it, but only if you have paging and monitoring set up first. Mr. Khan's tier structure essentially does this. The jump from 48-hour to 24-hour response is baked into the tier price, but you can unbundle it as a standalone add-on. 2 add-ons, that's it. Not 5, not a custom menu of 12 optional extras. 2, because every add-on you offer is a decision the client has to make, and every decision slows the sale. The scope gate is the piece that makes the whole system work on a sales call. It's a simple yellow and red flag system. Yellow flags are things you can solve with an add-on or by bumping to Pro. 1 extra workflow beyond the tier cap, yellow. An additional channel, yellow. More knowledge-based sources, yellow. These are expansion, not complexity. Red flags trigger enterprise. Multi-system orchestration across 3 or more core systems, red. Net new custom API development, red. 24/7 on-call without observability in place, red. Regulated data, HIPAA, PCI, FERPA, red. And the biggest red flag of all, unlimited requests or undefined success criteria. If a client can't tell you what done looks like, that's not a starter project. That's not even a pro project. That's a discovery engagement. I keep the scope gate as a toggle list in my Notion catalog. On a call, I'm literally scanning the list while the client describes their project. Yellow, yellow, green, green. Okay, that's Pro plus 1 add-on. Red. Okay, let's talk about a custom scope. Takes about 60 seconds. That's the whole qualification. Now, I want to be honest about where this breaks, because the obvious objection is, what about the client who doesn't fit any tier? The one with a genuinely unique workflow, volatile API costs, or a use case you've never seen before. That's real, and the Async Forge guide on productized development services makes this point directly. Rigid productization can repel higher complexity buyers and misprice variable costs. If your LLM token spend swings wildly based on the client's usage patterns, a fixed monthly fee might eat your margin on month 3, even if it was profitable on month 1. The answer is not to abandon the menu. It's to build the escape hatch into the menu. That's what the enterprise tier is. That's what the red scope gate is for. When a lead trips a red flag, you don't force them into a tier that doesn't fit. You route them to a custom conversation with a discovery fee attached. QNTX AI Ops does this. They charge $99 for an AI workflow audit before any build begins. That audit is the gate between this fits a tier and this needs custom scoping. And for volatile costs, interaction caps are your friend. Willway caps interactions at $500 a month on starter. Cognex does $1,000 on their entry tier. You're not eating unlimited token spend. You're capping it, publishing the cap, and selling overages or tier upgrades when the client exceeds it. The menu doesn't pretend every project is simple. It just makes the simple projects fast and routes the complex ones to a conversation that starts with a paid discovery. Let me walk you through how this actually works on a call. Client says, I need a chatbot for our support page, 1 channel, web chat, maybe 500 conversations a month. We use Zendesk and want tickets created automatically. I'm scanning the scope gate. 1 workflow, 1 channel, 500 interactions, native connector to Zendesk, no custom API, all green. That's starter. I say, that's our starter tier. Setup fee is X, monthly is Y, and you get 2 weeks of post-launch support. If you need a second workflow later, say an email intake, that's an add-on at a fixed price. Want me to send the service card? 60 seconds. No proposal to write, no scope doc to draft. The service card is a 1-pager generated from the catalog. Outcome, caps, SLA, price, stack, and a button. I send it before the call ends. Now, different client. We need to connect our CRM, our invoicing system, and our project management tool. Custom API to a legacy ERP. HIPAA-compliant data handling. And we want 24/7 support. I'm scanning the scope gate. Multi-system orchestration across 3+ systems. Red. Custom API to a legacy system without SDK. Red. HIPAA. Red. 3 red flags. That's enterprise. I say, that's a custom engagement. We start with a paid discovery. Takes about a week. and I'll scope the build, the SLA, and the run cost from there. Discovery fee is X. Different conversation, different pace. But I knew which conversation to have in under a minute. So, remember that DM I read at the top? 4 hours writing a proposal for a 2 workflow build. Another 2 hours when the client asked for a third workflow. 6 hours of unpaid product design on a single deal. With the 3-2-1 portfolio, that same deal takes 60 seconds to qualify, 60 seconds to price, and 1 service card to send. The 2 workflow version is starter. The third workflow is an add-on. The SLA is a toggle. The proposal is the catalog. Constraints don't limit what you can sell. They limit how long it takes to sell it. And for a solo operator, that's the same thing as margin. If you want the exact offer catalog I walked through today, 3 tiers, 2 add-ons, the red and yellow scope gate, the SLA toggles, the service card generator, it's on the resources page. It's a Notion template. Duplicate it, fill in your brackets, and you can be pricing on calls by the end of the week. One thing to do this week. Just one. Open a blank Notion page and write down the 3 tiers. Name them. Put 1 cap on each. Workflows, channels, interactions, whatever makes sense for your work. Don't try to finish the whole catalog. Just name the tiers and set 1 boundary per tier. That's the foundation. Everything else builds from there. I'm Jordan. This is Headcount Zero. Go build something.